Good morning, welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Wednesday, February the 25th. We're here to look at the new releases in crime fiction and thrillers that were published this week. Thank you for watching. Hope you are having a good day. If you're watching now, thank you, thank you. If you're watching later, thank you, thank you. Quick announcements. I don't have any sprints tonight. I don't do them on Wednesday night. Our next sprints are tomorrow night, Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then Saturday afternoon. Amy says, good morning, everyone. Good morning to ya. Mary says, good morning, PK, Amy, and everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hump day. Indeed. Indeed. Well, it's a better week than last week for me, that's for sure. We had a really good interview yesterday for somebody for our sales position. Very relieved, happy. We have another one at 9 today. And we're kind of looking at him maybe for our service manager. Wouldn't that be amazing in 1 week? All right, crime fiction and thrillers. First up, CJ Box has a new one, The Crossroads, 26th in the Joe Pickett series. Mary Beth Pickett gets the call she has always dreaded. Her husband Joe is in critical condition with a gunshot wound to the head. Oh my. Joe was found in his pickup at Antler Creek Junction, a crossroads connecting 3 ranches. Each road leading to a dangerous family. Each family with a different bone to pick with the local game warden. Mary Beth and the new sheriff assume that Joe was ambushed by one of the families, but they have no idea which one, since Joe didn't say where he was going or why. With Joe unconscious and fighting for his life, with Mary Beth at his side, Sheridan, April, and Lucy split up and investigate each of the families to uncover the truth of what happened to their father before it's too late. Wonder if CJ Box is switching main characters. Goodness. Amy says Oza is good. Oh, yes. About the interviews, indeed. Oh, It's been difficult. Mary says, keeping my fingers crossed that all goes well. No, it's difficult these days to get good folks. Absolutely. The guy that we interviewed yesterday is a grown-up. He's our age. And Mary says, like CJ Box. Yes, he's a good one. Nikki French, new one, 3rd in the Maud O'Connor series. What happened that night? Tyler Green, convicted of murdering his friend Leo at a student house party in 1993, has been released after almost 3 decades in prison. He has always protested his innocence. On a warm evening in London, Tyler summons 8 of his university friends who were present on that fateful night. You know what? I would not go. Is it just a reunion or something else? With wine and accusations flowing liberally, the reunion descends into violent chaos, and one friend will end the night with their throat slit in the upstairs bedroom, the same way that Leo's was in 1993. When Detective Inspector Maud O'Connor gets called to investigate, she has her own doubts about Tyler's guilt, despite what his old friends, the rest of Metropolitan Police Force, and even the Home Secretary would like her to believe. ... I'm sorry. Don't go to those reunion things, particularly if the person who is throwing it just got out of prison for 30 years. And you know he's got a grudge. Just saying. Mary says, looks like there's a bunch of good authors in this group today. Indeed, we've got some name ones. Catherine Coulter has a new one, The Heir of Whitestone. When Alex Ivanov was 12, someone tried to kill him. Now, 11 years later, they still want him dead. England, 1842. Queen Victoria reigns, Buckingham Palace is overrun with rats, and the streets of London are filled with intrigue. Alex Ivanov is a brilliant young innovator designing cutting-edge train engines. But Alex has a secret. He isn't really Alex Ivanov. As a boy, he was pulled from the Thames, presumed drowned and no memory of who he was. Rescued and raised by the formidable Ryder Sherbrooke, Alex has built a new life, but his past is catching up with him. Why choose that last name? Lady Camilla Roman has problems of her own. Trapped by a scheming stepmother and a family determined to see her married off, she is as clever as she is desperate. When fate throws her into Alex's path, their connection is undeniable. But as their whirlwind romance turns into marriage, danger follows. On their honeymoon, a series of deadly attacks makes one thing clear. Someone wants Alex dead. As they race to uncover the truth, old enemies and long-buried secrets come to light, leading them to a shocking revelation that will change everything. That would be cool. She's getting into the Hismist world. Amy says, yes, I agree, Mary. The Other Couple by Claire McGowan. For Beth and Vince, on the brink of a breakup, their island getaway was a last-ditch attempt to save their crumbling marriage. Instead, it's left them with a haunting memory, the discovery of a young woman's body on the beach and Vince's arrest by suspicious local police. Now back in London, after an alibi freed him, they're desperate to move on, until a familiar face from that terrible night reappears on their street, one they hoped never to see again. Detective Alison Haggerty was on the scene too, drawn into the case during what was meant to be a relaxing baby moon. Now she's also back in London, heavily pregnant, but in a race against impending maternity leave. Can she unravel the lies that connect the holiday murder, a long-ago crime, and a new suspicious fall? As Beth and Vince are forced to face up to their choices they made that night, and the lies they've told one another, one thing seems certain. You can run away from your secrets, but the truth will always find you. End of that row. James Rollins has a new one. You're right, Mary. You got some big hitters today. I need a slug of coffee. Trust no one. Is this in his Cotton series? Doesn't say. Well, it does say a No, it doesn't. It says the author of. Anyway. Knowledge can be magic until it falls into the wrong hands. The ritualistic murder of a British professor at the University of Exeter points to a startling cast of suspects, his own students. All are enrolled in a postgraduate program covering the history of witchcraft, folklore, and spiritualism. All evidence points to Sharon Carr, an American student. Prior to the professor's death, he had thrust a centuries-old book upon her. It appears to be the handwritten and encrypted diary of an 18th century mystic and occultist, the Comte de Saint-Germain. The professor begged her to keep the text safe, ending with a warning, trust no one. With such a title card, such a responsibility forces her into cooperation with Duncan Maxwell, a fellow postgrad and the 16th in line to the British Crown. Already Duncan has proven himself a savant with encryptions. Unfortunately, the pair clash at every level, but they both need one another, especially when they discover the book's opening words, "Herein lies the secrets to my immortality. Come find me if you dare." And I'm going to stop there. That one looked like a standalone, not in his series. A Long Dark Night by Lily Sutton. After her restaurant closes and she returns to her childhood home deep in the Alaskan wilderness, Nina has one goal, finding a way back out. Her family's sled dog business is struggling and she's alarmed that her brother Grant is working at the nearby oil field. Grant comes home one day extremely unsettled by his involvement in disturbing events at work. The supervisor on duty orchestrated a suspiciously seamless cover-up of a deadly accident, leading both siblings to wonder if the past disappearances of field workers are more than a coincidence. Grant wants to forget the whole thing ever happened. The oil rig is the only source of employment that pays enough to keep their family afloat, and he doesn't want to risk any jail time. But Nina can't let this lie. The opportunity to uncover the truth about the disappearances and protect her family from increasing threat is too important. What starts as an attempt to unravel the mystery leads Nina, Grant, and their loved ones directly into the path of those determined to keep them silent no matter the cost. It didn't say anything about a storm coming, but I bet there's a storm coming. Best Boy by Deborah Goodrich Royce. Vivica Stevenson has it all: a handsome and successful husband, an adorable 10-year-old son, and a coastal dream house in Greenwich, Connecticut. She has a solid group of girlfriends and is content with the afterglow of the film career she's left behind. We're supposed to like her? But when a threatening letter arrives from a man she does not remember, it cracks open a part of her past she thought was buried for good. A terrifying chain of events is set in motion, forcing Vivica to confront what happened on a shattering Halloween night in high school when she had a different name, a different face, a different voice. Who is the man contacting her now, and was he really the best boy on her most famous film, Misty? Why can't she remember him or that night? Because you were probably roofied, baby girl. Blood Relay by Devin Mehesua. We'll say that. Choctaw detective Perry Antelope has been with her partner Sophia Burns for only 6 months. Perry is a seasoned investigator, while the ex-Olympian shot putter Sophia is a former street-smart police officer. Together they are an intrepid pair with an established record of success. But when Perry and Sophia are called to investigate the disappearance of Dell's Billy, a beloved woman's Indian horse relay rider, they quickly realize that it's not as cut and dry as anything they've faced before. Piece by piece, they uncover unsettling connections between Dell's disappearance and a series of unsolved abduction of women from Oklahoma reservations. But the perpetrator always seems to be one step ahead, and Perry soon finds herself and her family in the crosshairs of a ruthless killer. Despite her husband's pleas for her to drop the case, Perry is determined to prevent Dell's from becoming another statistic. As the investigation deepens, Perry and Sophia follow a tangled web of clues that point to a close-to-home plot more chilling than they could have imagined. Torn between her family's safety and her duty to her community, Perry must race against the clock and across tribal nations to find Dell before her murderous abductor can carry out their sinister plan. End of that road. How to Get Away with Murder by Rebecca Phillipson. This is a debut. Detective Inspector Samantha Hansen has been on leave for 6 months, recovering from a breakdown she suffered at work. But when a 14-year-old girl is murdered in a local park, Sam jumps at the chance to return to the job and prove that she's still got what it takes to be the yard's most successful homicide detective. One of the case's only leads is a copy of a self-help book found in the victim's backpack called How to Get Away with Murder by a man named Denver Brady. Brady claims to be the most successful serial killer of our time, which is why no one's ever heard of him. Chapter by chapter, he details his methodology and his past victims, and as Sam's investigation progresses and the details of the book go viral, Sam begins to suspect that there's more to the author than what he's revealed. But in order to find a killer and get justice for young Charlotte, Sam must learn to trust her instincts once again before Denver Brady, or someone else, really does get away with murder. I'm a little intrigued. I might check that out further. So there. And he says, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah. J.J. Tabasco's Do-It-Yourself Detective Agency. I would trust that name. By Carl Martin Johnson. J.J. Tabasco is not the worst detective on the North American continent, but he's close. An American expat in Cancun, J.J. can't become a licensed private investigator, so he figured out a way to skirt the law with a do-it-yourself method, instructing clients on how to find the information they need. J.J. is scraping by until a beautiful woman walks into his office with an envelope stuffed full of $100 bills. A woman with some money. What begins as a simple stalking case becomes much more complicated, though, when he discovers that the beautiful Jade is trying to find a $25 million painting that's gone missing. And there are others sniffing in her tracks, including Casper Guzman, who walks his pet iguana on a lead, because of course, and Hermione, an octogenarian art thief who is never without her vicious chihuahua. While JJ finds himself tangled in Jade's quest, Cancun is not short on crime. Members of rival cartel gangs are being targeted by a serial killer, because there's more, and JJ is conscripted by both cartels to find the culprit. There is a lot going on in there. Reasons to Lie by Emily Listfield. In the privileged world of Manhattan's elite Dearborn Academy, three mothers, Abby, Kara, and Hollis, form an unlikely bond. Until a student is murdered on a class trip their teenagers attended, and every parent has something to hide. Artistic single mom Abby and career-challenged Kara has always felt like outsiders among Dearborn's rich, powerful families. When glamorous, enigmatic drinking game Hollis arrives with her son and a picture-perfect life, they take her under their wing despite nagging doubts about her past. Their friendship only deepens after tragedy strikes on a school retreat, but as a determined detective edges closer to the truth of what happened in the woods that night, cracks begin to show in their stories, their alliances, and their trust. Each woman is keeping secrets, and so are their children. Now with everything at stake, Abby, Kara, and Hollis must decide how far they'll go to protect their families, even if it means turning on one another. Because everyone has a reason to lie, and someone will stop at nothing to keep the truth buried. The lesson here: remain poor, don't go to reunions, don't send your kids to elite schools. The Book of Judges by Gary Fields. This is in the Words series, but it doesn't say if this is a first or a what order. Already I'm intrigued, though. It says, for fans of Dan Brown. A beloved judge is murdered. His virus-infected laptop holds an ancient secret. Young lawyer Joshua Sutton, together with doctoral candidate Samantha Bollinger and tech wizard Mark Roth, are thrust into a deadly 3-day quest for answers, a quest that leads them across millennia. As Mark extracts clues from the computer, Josh and Sammy are chased around Florida by the hulking murderer and others who desperately want the laptop. Josh and Sammy realize they've both been haunted by dreams about historical judges. In Mongol-ruled China, Imperial Rome, Byzantium, post-Renaissance Venice, Henry VIII's England, and Charlemagne's Frankish kingdom, judges heroically seek justice in life-and-death cases that come to define human rights. As they do, they are exposed to a startling secret. Josh, Sammy, and Mark end up in a pulse-pounding race to New York City to stop the murder of another judge who could potentially save humanity. That could be a Garbogist possibility. End of that row. And Amy says, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah. Mary says, I think he included the kitchen sink. Yeah. Away to Me by Patricia B. McConnell. A lot of blurbage. Here we go. Maddie is living her best second life on a 40-acre sheep farm in the Wisconsin countryside. In addition to her passion for training sheepdogs, including her spirited border collie Jack, she sees all manner of dogs with behavioral problems ranging from biting to thunderphobia as part of her local practice. No stranger to trauma herself, Maddie has worked hard to recover from the ordeal of her previous marriage. But things take a turn when Maddie's friend and mentor George is inexplicably killed by a rifle shot fired from the woods during a sheepdog trial. Maddie is devastated and also baffled. It's not hunting season, and who could mistake a man standing alone in a field for a deer? She's still reeling from George's shooting when a shelter calls her for help when a German Shepherd found half dead beside the highway who's too aggressive to feed and care for. The dog flourishes at the farm, but when Maddie returns one day to find her house invaded, it's clear that she has stumbled into a situation far more complex and sinister than she realized, and her romantic involvement with an enigmatic, drinking game. Young shelter worker soon leads to even more trouble. As Maddie continues to search for answers to George's death, it quickly becomes apparent that her own life is once again in danger. The Girls Before by Kate Alice Marshall. There is a girl in the basement. The door has stopped opening. The light is gone. Stranger is trapped in the dark with only her imagination and the scribbles on the wall left by long-dead girls to keep her company. Nearly out of food and water, she makes one last attempt to escape. But if the door opens at last, will it mean salvation or only the beginning of her fight to survive? Audrey is a search and rescue expert who never stopped looking for her ex-best friend Janie, who disappeared when they were teenagers. Janie used to love the local legend of a forest witch who saves girls from bad men, but Audrey knows now that for every one saved, there's always another one lost. When she stumbles upon evidence in the forest that a teenage runaway might have actually been kidnapped from land belonging to the town's most prominent family, she will have to dig through decades of secrets to reveal the biggest one of all. What happened to the girls before? And that is all we have for this week. Some big names. But I think the one that I'm most interested in maybe is How to Get Away with Murder. Surprising. Go figure. Well, I thought maybe we would have some time to look at some of the cozies that we have left over from Monday. There's 55 cozy books published this week. As I say, it's like the publishers went, oh crap, just get them out there. Mary says you scooted right along this morning. Indeed. So we will have a morning show on Friday, and we'll do our best to get through the remaining ones. We might have to do drive-bys towards the end, but we will do our best. Amy says, I'm working to read several of these. There are, you know, it reminds me of series that I've set aside and left them there for a while. Time to get back. I really, really do love UK set police procedurals. So much to read. It's a good problem to have. All right. Amy says, looking forward to Friday. Yay! Me too. That is it. Hope you guys have a good Wednesday. Be safe. Read good books. And hope to see you on our sprints, which are tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. If not, then maybe the Friday morning, like mentioned. And then after that, Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern for the last sprints of the week. Amy says, have a good day, everyone. Back at you, baby. All right, thank you, thank you. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Om, nom, nom. Have a good day, and God bless.